You know what they say about marriage being like plumbing? When it's working, you don't think about it. But when it breaks, everything turns to shit. I'm standing ankle deep in murky water in our master bathroom, wrestling with a drain snake like it owes me money, while my wife Lila screams from downstairs about how I'm ruining the Italian tile. Italian tile, right. Because nothing says we've made it, like overpriced bathroom floors that can't handle a little standing water. Graham, are you listening to me? Lila's voice cuts through the house like a circular saw. I told you to call a professional. I pause, wiping sweat from my forehead with the back of my hand. The irony isn't lost on me. I run a successful agro-trading company, manage million-dollar grain contracts, but I can't fix a simple shower drain without my wife treating me like I'm some kind of amateur. I am a professional, I mutter to myself, giving the snake another aggressive twist. Just not the kind you apparently married me for. The water level isn't going down. If anything, it seems to be rising, which makes absolutely no sense unless there's a serious blockage somewhere deep in the system. I've been at this for 2 hours, and all I've accomplished is soaking my jeans and confirming that our marriage has about as much flow as this drain. Fine, I shout back. I'll call someone. Wadline. 20 minutes later, I'm watching a stocky guy named Pete from Reliable Drain Solutions suit up like he's about to perform surgery. He's got more equipment than a NASA mission, including some kind of camera system that looks like it could explore the Mariana Trench. Been doing this 30 years, Pete says, threading his camera line down the drain. You'd be amazed what people flush down these things. Wedding rings, toys, false teeth. He pauses, squinting at his monitor. Well, that's new. What is it? Pete's face goes pale. He adjusts the camera, zooms in, then looks at me with an expression I've never seen on a plumber's face before. It's fear. Sir, he says quietly, you need to see this. Uh-huh. I lean over his shoulder and stare at the small screen. There, wedged in the pipe about 4 feet down, is a small metallic packet with a distinctive blue tint. My blood turns to ice water. Uh-huh. I know that packet. I know it because my company imports the stuff. It's industrial-grade rat poison. The kind that comes in those specific blue-tinted foil packets. The kind that's sitting in our warehouse right now. Sir, Pete whispers, you need to leave, now. Uh-huh. My hands are shaking as I stare at the screen. This is Lila's private bathroom. The shower she uses every morning. The one I never touch because it's too small for my 6-foot frame. The one where she insists on keeping all her expensive shampoos and body washes. But that's not what makes my stomach drop into my shoes. What makes me want to vomit is the sudden, crystal-clear memory of last week. The headaches that started Monday. The bitter aftertaste in my morning coffee that Lila said was a new blend she was trying. The way she watched me drink it, her eyes following the cup to my lips, with an intensity I thought was affection. How long would something like that take to... I can't finish the sentence. Pete is already packing up his equipment. I don't know, and I don't want to know. But if I were you, I'd be talking to someone who isn't a plumber. I pay Pete in cash and watch him leave like his truck is on fire. Then I stand in my driveway, staring at the house I've called home for 8 years, and realize I don't recognize it anymore. My phone buzzes. A text from Lila. How's the drain coming along, honey? I picked up some of that coffee you like for tomorrow morning. That coffee I like. The one that's been tasting like pennies and making my head pound. I walk to my truck, grab the go bag I keep behind the seat, old habit from my days working construction, and drive to my parents' house across town. On the way, I call my lawyer. Jim, it's Graham Mitchell. I need you to do something for me, and I need you to do it tonight. My parents' guest room smells like mothballs and disappointment, which seems appropriate given that I'm hiding from my own wife. It's been 3 days since the drain incident, and I've spent every waking hour trying to convince myself that there's some reasonable explanation for industrial rat poison ending up in Lila's shower. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe someone broke in and planted it. Maybe I'm losing my mind. But then I remember the coffee, and the way Lila has been pushing me to update my life insurance policy, and how she's been asking detailed questions about my business accounts. Innocent questions, she said. Just trying to be more involved in our finances. My phone rings. It's Danny, my assistant at the office. Boss, your wife called. She wants to know when you're coming home. She sounds upset. Upset. Right, I bet she's upset. Her poisoning schedule has been disrupted. Danny, I need you to do something for me. It's going to sound weird, but I need you to trust me. Shoot, I need you to help me install some security cameras in my house. Today. There's a pause. Boss, is everything okay? No, Danny, everything is definitely not okay. 2 hours later, we're in my house while Lila is at her yoga class. Danny is surprisingly good with electronics. Turns out his degree in computer science is more useful than I thought. We install tiny cameras in the kitchen, living room, and my home office. Nothing in the bedroom or bathroom because I'm not a pervert. Just a man who wants to stay alive. These will stream directly to your phone, Danny explains, showing me the app. Motion activated, sound included. Pretty standard stuff. Standard stuff. Like marriage surveillance is just another Tuesday activity. That evening, I call Lila from my parents' house. Graham, what the hell is going on? You disappear for 3 days without a word, and now you're calling me like we're strangers? Her voice has that edge to it, the one that used to make me apologize for things that weren't my fault. Not anymore. The shower drain got fixed, I say. Good. When are you coming home? Soon. Just need to take care of some business stuff first. What business stuff? There it is. That sharp interest whenever money or business comes up. How did I miss it before? Nothing you need to worry about, honey. I'll be home this weekend. I hang up and open the camera app on my phone. Time to see what my loving wife does when she thinks I'm not watching. The first day of footage is boring. Lila moves through the house like she always does, talking on the phone with her friend Sasha, doing yoga in the living room, making herself salads that cost more than most people's dinners. The second day is more interesting. She spends an hour in my office, going through my desk drawers. She photographs several documents with her phone, including some contracts she has no business looking at. When she's done, she carefully puts everything back exactly where it was, professional, like she's done this before. But it's the third day that makes my blood boil. I'm watching the kitchen camera feed when Victor Reeves walks into my house like he owns the place. Victor, my business partner. Victor, who I've known for 15 years and trusted with my life. Victor, who has keys to my house because he's supposed to be my best friend. He kisses my wife. Not a friendly peck on the cheek. A full, passionate, hands-in-her-hair kiss that goes on for about 30 seconds longer than I can stomach. Well, I say to my parents' empty guest room. That explains a few things. I keep watching. They move to the living room, and their conversation is crystal clear thanks to Danny's high-quality microphones. How much longer do we have to wait? Victor asks. Not long, Lila replies. He's been drinking the coffee every morning for 2 weeks. It should be soon. And you're sure it'll look natural? The stuff Graham imports is designed to cause heart failure in large mammals. Humans aren't that different from cattle, biologically speaking. A little bit each day, building up in his system. The coroner will just see a 38-year-old man who worked too hard and ate too much red meat. Victor laughs, actually laughs. You're brilliant, and once he's gone? We wait a respectful 6 months, then get married. I inherit everything, including his share of the business. We'll be set for life. What about the insurance? $2 million, plus the house, the business assets, everything. We'll be rich, Victor. They start kissing again, and I have to close the app before I throw my phone through the window. I sit on the edge of the bed, staring at my hands. 8 years of marriage, 15 years of friendship. All of it a lie. But here's the thing about being in the agricultural business. You learn patience. You learn that the best crops take time to grow, and the best harvests come to those who wait for exactly the right moment. Lila and Victor want to play games? Fine, let's play games. I open my laptop and start typing. Time to plant some seeds of my own. The beauty of running your own business is that you have resources most people don't. Surveillance equipment, loyal employees, and a network of contacts who owe you favors. By Thursday morning, I've got Victor's car tagged with a GPS tracker, Lila's phone calls being monitored through perfectly legal business channels, and a plan that would make Machiavelli proud. The first phase is simple. Psychological warfare. I start with Victor's car. His pride and joy is a restored 1967 Camaro SS that he babies like it's his firstborn child. While he's in a meeting downtown, I slip into the parking garage and leave a little present in his trunk. A dead rat from our warehouse, along with a note written in block letters. TRY a new recipe. Yours is stale. Then I wait. The GPS tracker shows Victor driving home at his usual speed until he stops at a gas station. He's there for 20 minutes, probably discovered my gift. When he starts driving again, he's going 15 miles over the speed limit. My phone rings an hour later. It's Lila. Graham, have you been in contact with Victor today? No, why? He seems upset about something. I thought maybe you two had a business disagreement. Not that I know of. Is everything okay? I'm sure it's fine. When are you coming home? Tomorrow night. I miss you, honey. The lie slides out smooth as silk. I'm getting good at this. I miss you too. I'll make your favorite dinner. Right. With a side of rat poison, no doubt. Phase 2 begins Friday morning. I've had Danny install additional cameras in places Lila would never think to look. Inside the coffee maker, behind the microwave, even in the pantry where she keeps her special ingredients. The footage is damning. I watch Lila carefully measure blue powder from a small vial into my coffee grounds, mixing it with a precision that suggests she's done this many times before. After she's done, she takes the vial to the kitchen sink and washes it thoroughly with bleach. But the real jackpot comes when Victor arrives for what they think is a private meeting. They move to my home office, and their conversation is recorded in high definition. The rat thing freaked me out, Victor says. How could he know? He doesn't know anything, Lila replies. Graham's not smart enough to figure this out. He's just a glorified farmer who got lucky in business. What if he hired someone to follow us? Then we accelerate the timeline. I'll double the dose in his coffee. He'll be dead by Monday, and we'll be free to do whatever we want. Victor pulls Lila close. I can't wait to get my hands on that business. Graham never appreciated what he had. Neither of us will have to work another day in our lives. They start undressing each other right there in my office, on my desk, and I have to turn off the camera before I do something stupid like drive over there and commit a double homicide. Instead, I call my lawyer. Jim, I need you to freeze all my personal and business accounts, right now. Graham, what's going on? I'm about to go to war, and I need to make sure my ammunition is protected. Are we talking about a divorce? We're talking about attempted murder. There's a long pause. I'll make some calls. By Friday evening, I've got everything I need. Video evidence, audio recordings, financial records showing Lila's unauthorized access to business accounts, and a plan that will destroy both of them without me having to throw a single punch. I drive home just as the sun is setting. Lila meets me at the door with a smile that would fool anyone who doesn't know she's a murderer. Welcome home, honey. I made your favorite pot roast with that coffee rub you love. Coffee rub. Jesus, she's not even trying to be subtle anymore. Sounds delicious, I say, kissing her cheek. Her skin feels cold. I'm starving. We sit down to dinner, and I watch Lila watch me eat. Every bite I take seems to give her a little thrill. She's practically vibrating with excitement. So, I say, cutting another piece of meat. I've been thinking about that life insurance policy you mentioned. Maybe we should increase the coverage. Her eyes light up. Really? I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I was thinking we could bump it up to 5 million. You know, just in case something happens to me. Something like what? I look directly into her eyes. Oh, I don't know. Heart attack, maybe? I've been having some chest pains lately. Leela tries to look concerned, but she can't hide the smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. Maybe you should see a doctor. Maybe I should. After dinner, I excuse myself to my office while Leela does the dishes. I can hear her humming in the kitchen, probably planning how she'll spend my life insurance money. I open my laptop and review the footage from today one more time. Victor visited again while I was driving home, and they spent an hour planning my funeral. Literally planning my funeral. Leela even picked out the flowers she wants. White lilies, in case anyone's curious. I close the laptop and lean back in my chair. Tomorrow, the real fun begins. Saturday morning brings the kind of crisp autumn air that makes you glad to be alive, which, given my circumstances, feels particularly relevant. I wake up early and make my own coffee, using grounds from a fresh bag I bought on the way home. Leela is still sleeping, probably dreaming about my imminent demise. I've got a busy day planned. First stop is Mick's Bar, a dive downtown, where I used to hang out before marriage domesticated me. Mick Donnelly is an ex-cop who knows everyone and everything that happens in this city. If you need information, Mick's your guy. If you need someone to spread information, Mick's also your guy. Graham Mitchell, Mick says as I walk in. Haven't seen you in months. How's married life treating you? Like a terminal illness, I reply, sliding onto a bar stool. But I'm working on a cure. Mick pours me a beer without asking. It's 10 a.m., but desperate times call for desperate measures. Sounds like you've got problems. The kind of problems that make good stories, I say. Want to hear one? For the next hour, I tell Mick everything. The poison, the affair, the murder plot, all of it. I even show him some of the video footage on my phone. By the time I'm done, Mick looks like he wants to load his shotgun. Jesus Christ, Graham, you need to call the cops. I will. But first, I want to have a little fun. What kind of fun? I grin. The kind that involves public humiliation and social destruction. Mick returns my grin. Now you're talking my language. The plan is simple but effective. Tonight is the annual Harvest Festival downtown, a big community event where everyone who's anyone shows up to see and be seen. Leela never misses it, and she always drags Victor along as our friend. This year, they're going to get more attention than they bargained for. I spend the afternoon making calls and setting up equipment. Danny helps me install a small wireless speaker system near the main stage, controlled by an app on my phone. I also arrange for several of my employees to be strategically positioned throughout the crowd with cameras. By 6 p.m., the festival is in full swing. Food trucks, live music, families with kids running around. It's like a Norman Rockwell painting, if Norman Rockwell had painted scenes of elaborate revenge plots. Leela arrives fashionably late, wearing a red dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. Victor is with her, playing the role of the devoted family friend. They work the crowd like politicians, shaking hands and making small talk with people who have no idea they're talking to murderers. I watch from across the square, nursing a beer and waiting for the perfect moment. It comes during the mayor's speech, when everyone is gathered around the main stage and the crowd is at its thickest. I activate the speaker system and start playing the audio from yesterday's recording. Lila and Victor's voices boom across the festival, crystal clear and impossible to ignore. The rat thing freaked me out. How could he know? He doesn't know anything. Graham's not smart enough to figure this out. The crowd goes silent. People start looking around, confused. The mayor stops mid-sentence. What if he hired someone to follow us? Then we accelerate the timeline. I'll double the dose in his coffee. He'll be dead by Monday. Now people are pulling out their phones, recording everything. I see Lila's face go white as she realizes what's happening. Victor looks like he's about to throw up, but I'm not done yet. The audio continues. I can't wait to get my hands on that business. Graham never appreciated what he had. Neither of us will have to work another day in our lives. The crowd is buzzing now, people whispering and pointing. I see Lila frantically looking around, probably trying to figure out where the sound is coming from. I walk through the crowd toward them, taking my time, enjoying every second of their panic. Interesting speech, I say loudly enough for everyone around us to hear. Very informative. Lila grabs my arm. Graham, I can explain. Explain what? How you've been trying to poison me. How you and Victor have been planning my murder. How you've been screwing my business partner in my own house. The crowd around us has grown larger. People are holding up phones, recording everything. I can already imagine the social media posts. Local woman caught planning husband's murder at Harvest Festival. Victor tries to step forward. Now wait just a minute. No, Victor, you wait. You've been waiting 15 years to stab me in the back, so what's a few more minutes? I turn to address the crowd directly. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet my wife Lila and my business partner Victor. They've been having an affair for God knows how long. And they've been slowly poisoning me with rat poison, so they can inherit my business and collect my life insurance. The crowd gasps. Someone shouts, "Call the police!" Another person yells, "Are you serious?" "Dead serious," I reply. Which is what I would have been if I hadn't figured out their little scheme. Lila is crying now. But they're not tears of remorse. They're tears of rage and humiliation. "You bastard," she hisses. "You planned this." Damn right I planned this. Just like you planned my funeral. White lilies, wasn't it? The police arrive about 10 minutes later, alerted by concerned festival goers. I hand over all my evidence, videos, audio recordings, photos of the poison packet in the drain. Lila and Victor are arrested on the spot, led away in handcuffs, while half the town watches and records. As they're being put into separate police cars, Victor looks back at me with pure hatred in his eyes. "This isn't over, Graham." I walk over to the car and lean down to the open window. "You're right, Victor. It's not over. This was just the opening act." The next few weeks pass in a blur of legal proceedings, police interviews, and media attention. The story of the Harvest Festival confrontation goes viral on social media, turning Lila and Victor into local celebrities for all the wrong reasons. #PoisonWife and #RatPoisonRevenge become trending hashtags. But while everyone else is focused on the criminal case, I'm playing a longer game. Victor makes bail after a week in jail, thanks to his family's money and an expensive lawyer. Lila gets out 2 days later. They're both facing attempted murder charges, but their lawyers are confident they can plea bargain down to lesser offenses. That's where I come in. See, the thing about being in business for 20 years is that you learn patience. You learn that the most devastating attacks aren't the ones that hit fast and hard. They're the ones that hit slow and deep, like poison in a coffee cup. I start with their finances. As the majority owner of the agro trading company, I have the legal right to freeze Victor's assets and remove him from all business operations. His salary stops immediately. His company credit cards are canceled. His access to the company accounts is terminated. Within a week, Victor can't make his mortgage payments. For Lila, I take a different approach. I hire a forensic accountant to go through our joint finances with a microscope. What we find is interesting. Over the past 2 years, Lila has been systematically stealing money from our accounts and hiding it in a secret account under her maiden name. The total comes to nearly $200,000. I file a civil lawsuit for theft and fraud, freezing all of her assets pending the outcome. Suddenly, Lila can't afford her expensive lawyer anymore. But the real masterpiece is what I do to their reputations. I create a website called The Truth About Lila and Victor and fill it with all the evidence from my investigation. The videos, the audio recordings, the photos, everything laid out in chronological order like a true crime documentary. I even include a section called Frequently Asked Questions, where I answer common questions about the case with my trademark sarcasm. Q. Why didn't you just go to the police immediately? A. Because watching them dig their own graves was more satisfying than having someone else do it for them. Gu. Do you think they really would have killed you? A. Well, they poisoned me for 2 weeks and planned my funeral, so I'm going to go with yes on this one. Gu, what's next for you? A. Living my best life, which is significantly easier when people aren't trying to murder me. The website gets thousands of views in the first week. Local news stations pick up the story. Someone creates a podcast about the case called Till Death Do Us Part, the Graham Mitchell story. Lila and Victor become pariahs overnight. Their friends abandon them. Victor's family cuts him off financially. Lila's mother, who always thought I wasn't good enough for her precious daughter, publicly disowns her, but I'm still not satisfied. The final phase of my plan takes place 3 months later, at the company Christmas party. It's an annual event I've been hosting for 15 years. And this year I've invited everyone: employees, clients, suppliers, even some of the local media. Victor shows up, probably hoping to salvage some business relationships. He looks like hell, unshaven, wearing a cheap suit, driving a 10-year-old Honda instead of his beloved Camaro, which was repossessed last month. I wait until everyone has had a few drinks, then I stand up to make my annual toast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming tonight. It's been quite a year for our company, and I wanted to take a moment to reflect on some of the changes we've made. The room goes quiet. Everyone knows what's coming. As you all know, we had to make some personnel changes recently. It turns out that having business partners who try to murder you is bad for morale. A few people chuckle nervously, but I'm happy to report that our company is stronger than ever. Our profits are up 30% this year. Our client base has expanded significantly, and we've been able to implement some exciting new initiatives. I pause for effect. Of course, we couldn't have achieved any of this success if we hadn't eliminated certain toxic elements from our organization. Now I look directly at Victor. You see, in the agricultural business, we know that sometimes you have to remove diseased plants to protect the healthy ones. It's not personal, it's just good farming. Victor stands up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I don't have to listen to this. You're absolutely right, I reply. Security will show you out. 2 of my employees, both former military, escort Victor toward the exit. As he reaches the door, he turns back one last time. You think you've won, Graham? You think this is over? I raise my glass. Victor, my friend, this was over the moment you decided to betray me. Everything since then has just been cleanup. The door closes behind him with a satisfying click. I turn back to the crowd, which is staring at me with a mixture of admiration and fear. Now then, I say, who wants dessert? 6 months later, I'm sitting in my lawyer's office, signing the final paperwork that will complete the destruction of my former wife and business partner. The divorce is finalized, with Lila getting exactly nothing except a criminal record and a reputation that will follow her for the rest of her life. The civil lawsuit for theft and fraud resulted in a judgment that garnered every penny she stole, plus interest and penalties. Victor's situation is even worse. The criminal charges were eventually reduced to conspiracy and assault, but the civil lawsuits I filed against him for breach of fiduciary duty, theft of trade secrets, and fraud resulted in judgments that will keep him in debt for decades. His share of the company, which was worth nearly $3 million, is now mine. But the real victory isn't financial, it's personal. I'm driving through downtown when I see Victor working at a fast food restaurant, wearing a uniform with his name tag crooked and grease stains on his shirt. Our eyes meet through the window, and for a moment, time stops. He looks exactly like what he is, a broken man who lost everything because he got greedy and stupid. I don't stop. I don't wave. I don't even slow down. I just drive past, heading toward my new life. The house is empty when I get home. I had all of Lila's belongings donated to charity after she moved in with her sister in another state. The place feels bigger now, cleaner somehow, like the air itself is fresher without her poison in it. I pour myself a glass of whiskey and walk out to the back porch, where I can see the garden shed where Lila and Victor used to meet for their secret rendezvous. Tomorrow, I'm having it torn down and replaced with a workshop where I can restore classic cars, something I always wanted to do but never had time for when I was busy being married to a murderer. My phone buzzes with a text message from Danny. Boss, the final quarterly reports are in. Best year in company history. I smile and type back. Turns out removing parasites is good for business. Who knew? As I sit there, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and red, I think about the last year of my life. 12 months ago, I was a trusting husband and loyal friend, blissfully unaware that the two people I cared about most were planning my death. Now I'm a millionaire bachelor with a thriving business, a clear conscience, and the satisfaction of knowing that justice was served with a side of poetic irony. The best part? I never had to break a single law or throw a single punch. I just had to be smarter than they were, which turned out to be easier than I expected. My phone rings. It's Mick from the bar. Graham, you need to get down here. You're not going to believe what just happened. What now? Lila just walked in. She's drunk off her ass and telling everyone who'll listen that she's going to get revenge on you. I laugh. Actually laugh out loud. Tell her I said good luck with that. I'll be there in 20 minutes. You sure you want to deal with this tonight? Mick, I've been dealing with this for a year. 20 more minutes won't kill me. Unlike some people's plans, mine actually worked. I finish my whiskey, grab my keys, and head for the door. Time to see what my ex-wife thinks passes for revenge these days. After everything she's put me through, I could use a good laugh. As I drive toward downtown, I can't help but smile. Some people say revenge is a dish best served cold. But I disagree. Revenge is a dish best served with a side of justice and a garnish of public humiliation, preferably in front of as many people as possible. And I've always been an excellent cook. When I walk into Mick's bar, the first thing I notice is the silence. The usual crowd of regulars is there. But instead of their normal chatter and laughter, everyone is staring at the corner booth where Lila is sitting with an empty bottle of wine and mascara streaked down her cheeks. She looks up when she sees me, and her eyes are filled with a hatred so pure it could power a small city. There he is, she shouts, loud enough for everyone to hear. The man who destroyed my life. I walk over to the bar and order a beer from Mick, who's watching the scene with the fascination of someone witnessing a train wreck. Evening, Leela, I say calmly. You look exactly like I expected you to look. She struggles to her feet, swaying slightly. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you won? I don't think I won, Leela. I know I won. The scoreboard is pretty clear on this one. You ruined everything. My marriage, my reputation, my future. Actually, I interrupt, you ruined those things when you decided to poison me. I just made sure everyone found out about it. The bar is dead silent now. Even the jukebox seems to have stopped playing. Leela takes a step toward me, and I can smell the wine on her breath from 5 feet away. I should have used more poison. I should have killed you when I had the chance. And there it is, the final confession, spoken in front of a room full of witnesses, several of whom are already pulling out their phones to record. Ladies and gentlemen, I announce to the room, my ex-wife, everyone, still charming as ever. Lila lunges at me, her fingernails aimed at my face, but she's too drunk to be effective. I step aside easily, and she stumbles into a table, sending glasses crashing to the floor. Mick comes around the bar and helps her to her feet. Okay, Lila, I think you've had enough excitement for one night. Let me call you a cab. I don't want a cab, she screams. I want my life back. I finish my beer and set the bottle on the bar. Your life? Lila, you tried to murder me for insurance money. You don't get to have a life back. You get to have consequences. She starts crying then, big, ugly sobs that make her sound like a wounded animal. For a moment, I almost feel sorry for her, but then I remember the taste of poison in my morning coffee, and the feeling passes. Graham, she whispers, please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Can't we go back to the way things were? I look at her, really look at her, and see not the beautiful woman I married 8 years ago, but a broken, desperate person who destroyed her own life through greed and stupidity. No, Lila, we can't go back. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. I leave a 20 on the bar and head for the door. As I reach it, I turn back one last time. But hey, I say, look on the bright side. At least you don't have to pretend to love me anymore. The door closes behind me with a satisfying click, and I walk out into the night air, breathing deeply. It's over. Really, truly over. I drive home through empty streets, past the courthouse where Lila and Victor were arraigned, past the festival grounds where I exposed their plot, past all the places where my old life used to exist. When I pull into my driveway, I sit in the truck for a moment, looking at my house now, not ours, and think about the future. Tomorrow, I'll start tearing down that garden shed. Next week, I'll begin construction on the workshop. Next month, I'll take that vacation to Europe I've been putting off for years. And someday, maybe, I'll find someone who actually loves me instead of just tolerating me while planning my death. But for tonight, I'm content to be alive, to be free, and to know that justice was served exactly as it should be, completely, thoroughly, and with a generous helping of irony on the side. I walk into my house, pour myself another whiskey, and raise a toast to the empty room. To new beginnings, I say aloud, and to the satisfying end of old mistakes. The whiskey tastes perfect. No bitter aftertaste, no metallic tang, no hint of anything that shouldn't be there. Just smooth, clean whiskey in a house that finally feels like home again. Outside, it starts to rain. A gentle autumn shower that will wash away the last traces of a very long, very strange year. And somewhere across town, my ex-wife is probably still crying into her wine, wondering how her perfect plan went so perfectly wrong. The answer is simple. She underestimated me. It's a mistake she'll have the rest of her life to regret.